This Israeli government has killed more children, more journalists, more aid workers, and more medical personnel than any other war in recent memory. In the absence of global accountability, repeated horrors are normalized, taking our region to the brink of an all-out war. That includes those who continue to propagate the idea of Jordan as an alternative homeland. So let me be very, very clear. That will never happen. We will never accept the forced displacement of Palestinians, which is a war crime.
So that was King Abdullah of Jordan and his response to Trump's idea of ethnically cleansing the Palestinians in Gaza by sending them to neighboring countries, Jordan being one of them. Now, here is Jordan's king with Trump a short time later, backpedaling a little bit. Let's take a listen.
Mr. President, why should the king take in the Palestinian people? He's made clear he doesn't want to.
Well, I don't know, but he may have just something to say because we discussed just briefly. I think maybe you want to say it now, or?
Well, Mr. President, I think we have to keep in mind that there is a plan from Egypt and the Arab countries. We're being invited by Mohammed bin Salman to discussions in Riyadh. I think the point is how do we make this work in a way that is good for everybody? Right. Obviously, we have to look at the best interests of the United States, of the people in the region, especially to my people of Jordan. And we're going to have some interesting discussions today. I think one of the things that we can do right away is take 2,000 children that are either cancer children or in very ill state to Jordan as quickly as possible, and then wait for, I think, the Egyptians to present their plan on how we can work with the president to work on the Gaza challenges.
Mr. President, you were saying that Palestinians will live somewhere else safe. Where exactly do you want them to live?
Well, it's not where I want them to live. It's going to be where we ultimately choose as a group. And I believe we'll have a parcel of land in Jordan. I believe we'll have a parcel of land in Egypt. We may have someplace else. But I think when we finish our talks, we'll have a place where they're going to live very happily and very safely. And, you know, don't forget, they only want to be on the Gaza Strip because they don't know anything else. They've never had an alternative. And they don't want to be on the Gaza Strip, but they have no choice. They have to be. And they're being killed there at levels that nobody's ever seen. No place in the world is like as dangerous as the Gaza Strip. They don't want to be there. They have no alternative. When they have an alternative, not one person will want to stay where they are. Nobody wants to stay there. They're living in hell. It's a death trap.
Mr. President, how do you know that the Palestinians don't want to leave their land? Some people say this is ethnic cleansing. You won't be able to force them to leave their land.
We're moving them to a beautiful location where they have new homes, where they can live safely, where they'll have doctors and medical and all of those things. And I think it's going to be great. Yeah, any questions?
King Abdullah, what do you think about the U.S. taking over the Gaza Strip? Do you want to see the U.S. own the Gaza Strip?
Well, I think, as I said earlier, the president is looking at Egypt coming to present their plan. As I said, we will be in Saudi Arabia to discuss how we can work with the president and with the United States. So I think let's wait until the Egyptians can come and present to the president and not get ahead of ourselves.
And is there a parcel of land in Jordan that you're willing to have Palestinians?
Well, I think what we said, I have to look at the best interests of my country. I think the president is very happy that we do this thing with 2,000 children as quickly as possible. And again, I believe that the president is looking forward to getting a group of us Arabs here to discuss the overall plan.
And last question, the 2,000 children, are those from the Gaza Strip?
Absolutely, from the Gaza Strip.
So just very quickly, let's go over what happened. So we're seeing a much more tamed response from the King of Jordan, and that's sort of to be expected, I suppose. He's sitting right next to Trump. There's a certain degree of diplomacy that he has to maintain. But very quickly, first, he talked about working with Trump. So in his original speech to the United Nations, he outright rejected Trump's plan. Now he's talking about working with Trump. Second, him allowing about 2,000 ill children into Jordan. You have to ask, why hasn't Jordan done this all along? Why is it that Jordan waited until the proposal from Trump to ethnically cleanse Palestinians from Gaza before they finally decided, let's allow children into Jordan to seek refuge? And the truth is, because Jordan's not doing this out of humanitarian aid or an effort of goodwill or a gesture of goodwill. They're doing this to placate Trump, Trump has said that he wants some Palestinians to go into Jordan. You can tell the Jordanian king here, his response is hesitant. He doesn't want to say outright no to Trump. Why? Because in an earlier video, I covered that Jordan is the second largest recipient of U.S. aid in the region after Israel. In 2023, the United States gave about almost $1.7 billion worth of aid to Jordan. So is that a bargaining chip that Trump is using? Possibly, but while sitting next to Trump, you can tell the Jordanian king doesn't just want to say outright no. He's very hesitant, and this acceptance of 2,000 Palestinian children, the timing of it is 100% meant to placate Trump and nothing more. Number three, what's interesting here is that Scott Ritter, and if you don't know who he is, you can check an earlier video of mine. He commented that one of the reasons for Trump's plan might be to intentionally provoke the regional powers into coming up with their own proposal. And that it seems to have had that exact effect. If you look here, the Jordanian king's response is, we're going to wait until we have a summit with the other Arab leaders, and we're going to wait for Egypt's proposal. So once again, he's not outright just saying no to Trump. He's saying, well, we're going to wait until we have our own plan in effect, and then we're going to negotiate with President Trump about what we want to do. What I will say is that I don't really know what the people of Gaza want. And I think that there is some credibility to what Trump is saying, that the people of Gaza have never really had a choice. Remember, they have been in an open-air prison. They've been locked in Gaza by Israel, by Jordan, by Egypt. They haven't really been able to escape. So I do think there is some credibility in the argument that if Jordan and Egypt and the neighboring countries are willing to take in Palestinians, that many of them will probably leave Gaza. Because no matter how patriotic you are, the people of Gaza so far have had to watch their friends and family die. They've sacrificed their own lives. They've watched their communities be destroyed. They've watched their children die slowly from malnutrition, starvation, and dehydration. So no matter how strong their will is for a Palestinian state, I think it's completely reasonable that many of them, if given the opportunity, would want to leave Gaza and try and live a life that has some degree of normalcy to it. The resistance wouldn't necessarily be over, but it would at least give them a chance to be something other than a martyr, to be something other than a sacrifice. So although this is ethnic cleansing, there's no other way to describe what Trump is doing. For the Palestinians in Gaza, I imagine that even if this is not great news, it has to be somewhat of a relief, that there's somewhere you can go, that the bombs won't be dropped on you. There's somewhere you can go that you and your family can have a normal life, that your children can grow up, that they can have some sort of opportunity. How this exactly plays out, I don't know. It's a little bit sad that it took Trump's ridiculous plan to do this and his proposal of ethnic cleansing to do this. But I mean, it's like Scott Ritter said, I suppose. After Trump proposed his plan, now the Arab leaders are coming together and deciding what they want to do. Now, I want to be clear. This is not to say that Israel is guiltless in all this, because what Trump is doing is for Israel. Ultimately, a future administration, whether it's 4 years from now, 8 years from now, or 12 years from now, will gift that land directly to the Israelis. How do I know this? Because the state of Israel only exists because England gave them Palestinian land to begin with. And we're seeing the same thing play out here. So, for a Palestinian state, for the two-state solution, I think that this is a major step backwards. And I think that that puts that under real risk, and it encourages Israel to continue its land grab of Palestinian territories, and it diminishes the reality of a two-state solution. For the people of Gaza, I can only imagine that this has got to be some kind of relief, that they'll be able to escape the horror.